1970s, New York graffiti, rapping, and breaking became the prime expressions of a new young people subculture called hip-hop. Graffiti is the written word. There's the spoken word of rap music. And then there's the acrobatic body language of dances like breaking.
It started in the Bronx and part of Harlem.
It started in Freeze's house.
Oh, shut up!
His mom used to break. She's 180 years old.
Nah, don't be talking about my mother now.
Well, yeah, Billy, go. Mom used to spit on her head, right?
My mother. Boy, you acting stupid now.
You know pants, right?
Break is when you don't have nothing to do and, you know, everybody just stand around getting high just for you.
You make up your own freezes. You got names.
And you call them, you got names for them.
Like what? Like the baby. It's a baby. Chad.
A dead freeze like this.
Call it
Well, that's one of the old ancient.
It ain't one of the old, because I was the first one to do it.
How ancient can you get? The one when you go like this?
It's called the hump.
It's called the hump.
Man, the headache word.
No, that's the headache.
That's the headache.
And the other one is the hump.
You got a headache.
Oh, you could be
When you got a headache, you go like that, you know. When you hump, you go like that.
People got to understand that hip-hop was really created in the ghettos, you know, poor black Americans, poor West Indians, and poor Puerto Ricans. Places like the South Bronx, you know, the West Bronx, where, you know, Bambaataa and Herc and these folks are throwing parties, they were considered like war zones.
South Bronx, the South Bronx.
Beginning in 1946 and ending in 1963, the construction of the Cross Bronx Expressway ripped the Bronx in half. Urban planners and developers led by Robert Moses showed little concern for the people who lived in the borough and displaced thousands of residents and small business owners, leaving in its wake a poor, devastated community with little outside help from politicians.
The mainstream media would call it Fort Apache, you know what I'm saying? People were terrified to go in the Bronx, or you might go in, but you're not going to come out. They called it the Bronx Zoo. The Bronx Zoo literally became the metaphor for the whole borough. I mean, and you know, that's horrible because they were talking about black and Latino people. All of that fed into what was becoming hip-hop.
The culture and the energy that came from that was a very improvisational energy, a very sort of reclaiming energy that young folks, through dance, through rapping and DJing and so on and so forth, that is how the culture took hold. It was a willed response to systematic violence in the community. And when I say violence, I mean like destroying homes. Imagine someone putting a highway through your neighborhood. Then you can understand hip-hop.
I think it might be the most powerful vehicle in the world
ever made.
Because it has a magical way of touching people. I mean, it's the most listened to music in the world right now.
It's the number one.
And it's music. It's the universal language, and hip-hop has trumped music as the universal language. There's no place you can go on earth and not find someone to have a conversation about hip-hop at all.
Something about music that moves you. So now you have hip hop and these, you know, these different people and these different griots telling a story. I mean, it's like Martin and Malcolm gave birth to a whole generation of storytellers and leaders and philosophers and teachers. And I mean, it's nothing more beautiful than that. And then they have a way of, you know, putting it into a music form where you can, you know, bob your head to it at the same time, you know what I'm saying?
We've mixed up the terms hip-hop. And rap being a part of hip-hop culture.
I once heard, I believe it was KRS One say, rap is something that you do, hip-hop is something that you live. I think that hip-hop now is a much more generic term.
Hip-hop is just the umbrella for all of these different genres of rap music. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different genres, you know, from East Coast style to West Coast style to down south to Midwest. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different styles.
Hip-hop culture is all about, you know, what's going on. It stems from, obviously, you know, expression and social advocating social change in your environments and so forth. But it still got its pulse from the street.
For those of us who know our hip-hop history, the preacher, the holiness preacher, that whole sing-song way that they preached a sermon was really the precursor of hip-hop. That's why, you know, people forget that there's a long line there, that this just didn't come up full-blown.
Africa Bambaataa in 1974 began Zulu Nation after his trip back from Africa and was ordained a Zulu chief. He laid down the 4 principles and the 4 elements. The 4 principles are peace, love, unity, and having fun. He later did a record on this with James Brown, actually.
With the Universal Zulu Nation, we stand for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, and equality, peace, unity, love, and having fun, overcoming the negative to the positive, science, mathematics, facts, and the oneness of the supreme force.
From those principles, Africa Bambaataa laid down the core elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti, or DJing. These are the core elements.
Well, it began in New York in the 70s, in 73, 74, in the Bronx with Africa Bambaataa and Kool Herc. Herc was considered the father of the DJs because Herc brought the sound from Jamaica. And he learned how to put the brakes on where the brakes were continuous. Africa Bambaataa brought the culture to hip hop because Kool Herc couldn't have played the records and got away with a lot of parties because it was violent in New York. You're talking about late 1970s. We're talking about right after the Black Power struggle, after the Panthers and groups like that had been neutralized. We're talking right after civil rights. You see what I'm saying? We're talking a period when poverty was everywhere in America, especially in the black community. And this form of hip hop was born, so it was gangs, violence, drugs, and oppression. It was all these things were around. So Bambaataa, what he did was he was from the gang, the Black Spades. He formed what they called the Zulu Nation, or at that time it was called the Organization. That was the original name. And it was for all the gangs to get together and no longer wear their colors at the party, but represent as one thing so that we could have these parties.
Later on, those that started to stop the violence movement, all in the same gang, human education against lies, blah, 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 blah. We took it further and expanded the 4 elements to 9 elements. Breaking, MCing, graffiti, or DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and what we call street entrepreneurialism. And the minute you say street entrepreneurialism, most people think, well, that means some illegal activity on a corner. No, it doesn't. It can also mean incense and oils on a corner. It can also mean like what Bill Gates did, dropped out of Harvard and pursued his dream.